Hi guys, it's Alchamano. How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. Today I'm reviewing another Amouage fragrance. Yes, I am. I have lots of samples and I just really want to discover them and review them for you because they have a lot. So today it's Opus 5. This one's a little bit different from the others, I feel. It's an oriental floral that came out in 2011, so a long time ago. Still beautiful all the same. So I've noticed with the Opus ones, the more I review them, the more I realise that a lot of them are centred around certain flowers. Opus 9 was centred around jasmine, Opus 1 was centred around ylang ylang, Opus 3 was a violet one. So what are we talking about in Opus 5? Iris. Even though iris in fragrance isn't the actual flower, it's the root, but that's what they're focused on in this one in particular. So I'll tell you the notes first and then I'll tell you how it smells. So the top notes are Orris, Absolute and Rum. And I'll just quickly say, this is one of the shortest note pyramids I've seen from an Amouage, I think, especially from the Opus ones. Some of them have upwards of 15 notes. This one doesn't have that many, so it is on the simpler side, so it will be a simpler review. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So the top notes are Orris, Absolute and Rum. The heart notes are Orris, Concrete. So Orris Concrete is actually the solid matter that they've put into this fragrance, not just an oil or an Absolute. And the reason I'm guessing they've done that is because Orris is a light note. It's at the light end of the scale. It feels soft, it feels sometimes dry, it feels a bit papery, it feels slightly leathery, suede-y, and a little bit makeup-y. So it can't usually stand on its own, so they've really double whammied it here with that. Then you have Rose and Jasmine, and then the base notes are Oud, Civet, and a dry wood accord. So it's not too overly complicated, but I can see looking at the pyramid that in order to put something as soft as Orris with something like Oud, which are basically the opposite ends of the scale in terms of how they smell, Oud being one of the most aggressive woody notes you can put in a fragrance, and Orris being one of the lighter, softer things, that's why they've put the two Orris things together to maybe have a bit of balance. So, while I'm spraying this, I will say, the Rose and Jasmine, I don't really notice. I feel like they have maybe added them in such small amounts just to maybe floralise the Orris a little bit, but it doesn't ever smell rosy or jasmine-like to me. Not compared to other things by Amouage anyway. So how does it smell? It's certainly a little bit unusual. It's one of those fragrances that goes between pretty and edgy at the same time. Like I said a minute ago, Orris and Oud are very contrasting notes, and they've managed to do it where they've balanced them really perfectly. And because the composition isn't so overly complicated, you can feel both things in equal amounts. None drowns out the other. And that is good because Oud can be a monster. I've always said that. Monstrous. Heinous. So when you first smell it, there's a lot of Orris, but the Orris in here isn't powdery for once. It's actually a very crisp, clean Orris. So it feels like makeup, but before it's been put into makeup, if that makes sense. It's usually quite a buttery, kind of meaty but light note, and in here they've really crisped it up, so it's a very pretty high-pitched note. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is this Oud. You can smell it straight away. Oh, I'm almost dropping the lid on the floor. You can smell it straight away, and it's giving a touch of smokiness. It feels a little bit dirty, but at the beginning the actual woody wood crispness of it hasn't come out yet. Oud always takes a bit of time to settle before it reveals that super sillage trailing thing that it does, where you can just smell Oud everywhere basically, but in a crisp way. At the moment it's doing all of its not ugly side of Oud, but the kind of mushroomy a little bit, a bit earthy, a bit medicinal, a bit smoky, but still very counterbalanced with this Orris note, these two of these Orris notes. Really cool. I don't really smell any rum. I'm not sure if it was meant to be a slight facet or just a tiny hint, but there's nothing in here that indicates boozy to me. It's more about the two things I mentioned, and it's almost like this dry wood. It's almost like a bit of a scratchy wood mingled in there as well, and it's kind of cool. I would say that it's very unisex, for sure. I've just moved it over to this arm, sorry, because that was really awkward to do that, especially because I'm wearing a shirt that's too small for me. This shirt is my thin inspiration. When I can fit into it, I know I'm thin again. The animalic in here is something that I also don't smell right away. Civet is a quite potent note. It's one of the friendlier animalic notes, but it's not really noticeable in here at all. It's more about the things I mentioned, and like I said, it is a simple composition. So, when it dries, I have worn this a lot, it's nearly gone. When it dries, what happens is the oud does what it normally does, which is takes hold a little bit more. It never overtakes in this fragrance, which is really good. It's prominent, but it's not all about the oud. So it does crisp up, it does go to that really intensely woody, crisp note that it does without being dirty. It takes the dirtiness and the earthiness of it, and even the smokiness of it disappears when it's drying. Still, all the time Oris though. Iris, Oris, potato, potato, same thing. So the composition becomes a lot clearer when it's dry. And it's mainly just iris and oud working in tandem for me. That's as much as I can say about it because it's very simple. I won't repeat myself again. Stop it. I get about 6 hours out of this, sometimes 7, depending on how much I've sprayed and what I've worn it with, in what weather and what place. But it's a medium one, I would say. It's not one of those chucked full of notes Amouages that really just explode your senses. This would be a good starter for the Opus line, I think, and especially if you like iris with a bit of an Arabian twist. So anyway, if you guys want to get this fragrance, they sell it at notino.co.uk. I will post a link in the description below. I hope you like this video. I'll be doing lots more very soon. I have so many plans, oh my gosh. And I have a couple of giveaways coming up as well. So anyway, click my logo down there to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon for another review. Goodbye.